So the other night, in the middle of the night, whether I had a vision or a dream, it's hard to say because what point was waking and what point was sleeping is really hard to say. And was it a vision or a dream or a memory? So let me tell you a story that actually is a memory. This memory comes from basic combat training in the Army in 1971. One of the things that we did as part of our basic combat training was we ran an assault course up a hill. We attacked a hill using a technique called fire and movement. And in this technique, you you have the troops are lined up in a long line, and each one assaults up the hill. And what would happen is one guy lays down covering fire while it's like this. This guy lays down covering fire. This guy charges forward ahead of him, flops down to a prone firing position, yells out, "Go," and lays down covering fire. And this guy advances up to a point, lays down, gets set up in a prone position, yells, "Go." This guy goes. So you have this fire and movement going that thing. And one of the things that is important in that is that your fire needs to stay in your lane of fire so that you don't shoot your buddy as he passes you and moves ahead. So you're laying down fire in your lane, and you keep advancing up your lane until you get to the top of the hill. And then when you get just below the crest of the hill, this is what we did. We get below the crest of the hill, and you get a lot of adrenaline going. You got the smell and sound of gunfire all around you. We're using blanks in those days, but the smell and sound of gunfire is all around you. You're laying down cover fire, you're reloading your weapon, you're running up the hill, and it was a pretty big hill. And so you've got adrenaline and fatigue and the rush of the whole thing. And you get up below the crest of the hill, and at that point, we fixed bayonets and charged over the top of the hill at the enemy targets, which were unseen at that point. And you come over the top of the hill, and before you is an enemy. It's a dummy in this case, but the enemy is there as holding a weapon, and you parry and thrust, you kill the enemy after coming over the hill. There's a lot of adrenaline, there's a lot of energy, and this was the vision that came to mind. I remember that day in 1971 going through this training. Now, this wasn't real combat, this was training. But charging up that hill, there's all this adrenaline, and thinking about it and staying in your lane was the message. In fact, that's the message that came to my mind the other night while I was thinking about this. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Your job is to advance up your lane. And by advancing up your lane and making progress in your lane, you are providing cover for your buddy who's next to you to advance up his lane. Each of you are dependent on the other one. In some regards, this is like the spurring one another on to love and good deeds. By making progress, you are inspiring your buddy to continue in the fight. And when you get up to the edge of the final battle, right up there, it's like everybody's got to go over the top, or some of that enemy is going to be up there killing everybody else. Anyway, so you don't get distracted. You don't stop halfway up the hill. You don't stop before the crest of the hill. You fix bayonet, and you go over the top of the hill towards the unseen final battle. You stay in your lane. So, what does this mean? Years ago, somebody told me when I was a young Christian, they said, well, you read the Bible just like any other book. All you got to do is just open it up, start in the New Testament, start with Matthew, and just read it just like any other book until you run into something that gives you a hard time. Well, what I discovered is you get to about chapter 5 of Matthew and you're going to have a hard time. 5, 6, and 7, you're going to have a hard time. Because it talks about issues of lust. It talks about issues of anger. talks about hypocrisy. So I got up there when I found that, and I had an issue. My issue was anger. And when the issue of anger came on me, I had to fight it through. And now the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. It's not an M16. It's not a hand grenade. That was part of the assault course too. You get to just below the crest of the hill, you fix bayonet, you lob a hand grenade over the top, and you go. Crazy. Towards the unseen enemy. But you have to kill your enemy. And the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're not hand grenades and M16s and bayonets. But they are spiritual, and they're mighty to pulling down of strongholds. But you must advance on that thing. And you can't get sidetracked and say, I'm halfway up this hill, and this looks like a nice place to camp. Nope, no place to camp. Or I'm halfway up this hill, it might be fun to make a sled and slide down the hill. Nope. You have to fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy set before him despised the cross, scorning its shame, and press on. You yourself have not yet shed your blood in your struggle against sin. You're still struggling. You got to do it. You have to kill this sin. You have to get to the top of that hill and kill this. And by doing this, staying in your lane, not being engaged in other things, but staying in your lane, Jesus himself will bring you to full victory at the top of this hill. And in the process of you staying in your lane and not allowing this enemy to live, your co-workers, your brothers in Christ will be encouraged and spurred on to love and good deeds, that you will make progress together towards this goal. A side note, when we got over the top of that hill and killed our enemies, the drill sergeants didn't let us be done and just rest on our laurels. They were immediately chasing us with a Jeep, saying that we had to run down the full length of the course, around the back of the top of the hill, and down the whole course down to where the thing is. And they were chasing us with a Jeep saying, you better not let me catch you. When you get to the top of the hill and you kill that enemy, it's not time to rest. Not until the master says rest. But that enemy's dead. And what you learn in the process of killing that enemy is stuff that you'll use the rest of your life in killing other enemies. So anyway, that's my thought on the subject, and I hope it helps.